Hello, dear students. I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to a new lecture. In this lecture, we are having a writing workshop, and we're going to study all about the expository writing. So what's an expository writing? Now, in an expository essay, this writing explains or provides information about a specific topic, similar to the reading lesson we took before on lie detectives. We saw in the text information, and we said that the genre of this text is expository. So when a text is expository, or when an essay, which is our writing, is expository, this means we will be providing information about a specific topic. So in the reading lie detectives, the author was providing us with information on how they used breakthrough innovations to make scientific discoveries. Okay, now there are different organizations for an expository essay. Before I introduce them to you, let me remind you that when you write an essay, it's for you about 4 paragraphs in which we write the introduction, which is the first body paragraph, then the body of the essay, which can include 1, 2, 3 or more paragraphs, and then the conclusion, which is the last paragraph of my essay. So this is the format of an essay, which we also studied before when we introduced the narrative essay. So this essay we're starting with today is called expository essay, and the genre expository means I'm going to present mainly information about a topic. Now, as I was saying, we have different organizations. So how do I organize this information? Or what kind of information am I presenting in my expository essay? So we have compare contrast, in which I compare and contrast. I give similarities and differences between 2 things or more than 2 things. So this is one organization of an expository essay, which we are going to learn specifically in this lecture. We can also have problem solution. Now, in a problem solution, we present a specific problem, we explain what the problem is, and then we give specific solutions that are suitable to solve this problem. This is another organization of an expository essay. A third organization of an expository essay could be cause-effect, the causes and effects of a specific, for example, pollution, the causes of pollution, or the effects of something, or advantages and disadvantages. So this is a summary of different organizations of an expository essay. The one we're going to introduce today is compare and contrast. So as a reminder, in any essay, we have an introduction, then we should have a body, then we should have a conclusion. We said before that in an introduction, we introduce our essay. So we introduce the topic of our essay. Usually the introduction is the first paragraph of the essay, and it should clearly state the topic and organize the reasons for compare contrast of the topic. Now, I'm talking here about compare and contrast in specific because, as I said already, we're going to take the compare contrast organization of an expository essay. So I should state the topic clearly of my essay. What am I comparing and contrasting? And I should present the reasons for this comparison and contrast. Okay, so introduce the topic of comparison and contrast in the introduction. Then in the body, these are the paragraphs which form the biggest chunk of the essay, and they follow the introduction. They come after the introduction. Okay, so they come after the first paragraph. So second paragraph, and maybe third if you want to write 2 body paragraphs. So they could be 2 or more. And in the body, I write all the details, all the definitions, the facts, the supporting details, the explanations of the comparison and the contrast between whatever things I'm comparing and contrasting. Then in the conclusion, which is the final paragraph of my essay, and it's typically made of one paragraph. So the conclusion, similar to the introduction, it's made of one paragraph only, and it's the last paragraph of my essay. And in this paragraph, I conclude everything I said. So I state the main idea again, but in different words. The main idea, which I write, if you remember, in the thesis statement in the introduction. This thesis statement, which has the main idea, I restate it, which means I write it again. I remind my reader that this was my main idea or my message or my purpose or my focus in this essay. So I write this main idea, but in different words from the ones I wrote in the thesis statement. Okay, so that's the organization of an essay. Now we'll go deeply after this slide into the compare and contrast. So here's a picture of the organization. I thought it would make it more clear for you. Introduction, I should have a hook, as you remember, which is the attention grabber. This is the first sentence of the introduction that should grab the attention, the reader's attention to read my essay. Then I write some general information, which I call background information about my topic. Then this is a thesis statement, which tells me directly, or tells mainly the reader directly, what this essay is going to talk about. Then in the body, I have, let's say, one paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph. Every paragraph should have one specific main idea, and I write all the details. For example, one similarity, another similarity, and here the differences if I'm comparing and contrasting. But I told you I want 2 paragraphs, so you can write the similarities in one paragraph and the differences in another paragraph. Then the conclusion, which is the last paragraph, as you can see, the last thing in my essay, I restate the thesis statement. So I state the main idea again, but in different words. I summarize the main ideas here, summarize them, write them briefly, what's the main idea I was trying to present, and I can share my personal feeling or comment. Okay. Now, before starting with the organization of a compare-contrast essay, let me remind you of this diagram. This diagram, I introduced it to you in the reading lesson we took last week, which is Lie Detectives, in which we were comparing between Tombo's discovery method of discovery and Brown's method of discovery. So if you remember, I wrote here Tombo's method of discovery and Brown's method. And here we wrote the differences. In the middle, we wrote the similarities. So as you can see, these 2 circles are intersecting here, which means this is part of this circle, and at the same time, it's part of this circle. So here we write information which belongs to this topic and the other topic, which means whatever is written here at the middle in this intersection space, okay, belongs to both of them, which means it is a similarity. So for example, getting a cat versus getting a dog. I have here a very simple topic to make everything clear for you. For example, it's funny to watch a cat or a dog. They shed hair, they can live inside or outside. We have to feed them if we have a pet cat or a pet dog. Can be destructive to the furniture. We have to pay vet bills, right? We would have fleas because of them. So these are common things for getting a cat and getting a dog. Now, what's the difference? I'm trying to choose, for example, would I get a cat for a pet or a dog? So let's look at the differences. The cats can catch mice, okay? Might scratch people, will ignore the person sometimes, can stay alone for a few days, won't dig up the yard, aloof, uses a cat box, and independent. However, you're listening to these words, however, in contrast, I'm now trying to show the difference. The dog will go places with me, will obey me, will do tricks. The dog needs a fence, could bite people. So not scratch people, bite people. Would be protective and loyal, choose up the shoes, need to potty train, and needs lots of attention, right? So Whatever is written at the middle is common between getting a dog and a cat, and what's on the sides is the difference. So why am I showing this to you? Because when you're going to write a compare-contrast essay, you're going to draw this Venn diagram, put your two things you're comparing, write the similarities and write the differences. That's a way of brainstorming the ideas. And then we're going to use these ideas, which we have prepared already, pre-writing, to write them in our essay. Okay, here's another example, comparison between bats and birds. They both fly, both have wings, both can see. However, the bats see at night, but the birds see at day, during the day. Bats eat fruits, the birds eat bugs. Bats sleep inside. However, the birds sleep right side up, and the bats live in caves. However, the birds live in a nest. Okay, by now it should be very clear for you, this Venn diagram. And now let's go from pre-writing to writing, here in which you're going to start writing your essay. You have to keep in mind the organization of every essay, which I've already introduced to you: introduction, body, and a conclusion. Okay, now what do I write in the introduction? I should have the hook, which is I call the attention grabber, as an interesting statement, a question, a famous quote that should grab my reader's attention, and for sure it should be related to my topic. Then I should explain what I'm going to compare, but briefly, by giving general information like bats and birds, they have similarities, they have differences, so I'm sharing general information. Then the thesis statements. Here are two similarities and two differences between getting a cat and getting a dog. So that's the topic. That's the main idea of my essay. Okay, and then I would be done with the introduction, which introduced my main idea of the whole essay. Now I start with the body, in which I should have, as I told you for now, 2 paragraphs on. Okay, I should write or organize my ideas point by point. Okay, now instead of writing every point in one paragraph, what I want you to do is separate the paragraphs for similarities and differences. So one paragraph in which you write the similarities and one paragraph in which you write the differences. Okay, then in each paragraph, we should have a topic sentence, the first sentence. So the topic sentence will tell me birds and bats are 2 different types of birds, but they share many similarities, or they have many things in common. In this way, I know that this paragraph would talk about the similarities. That's the topic sentence. Then in the supporting details, I write what similarities are. I explain these similarities. I give examples, okay, in the supporting details, and then I conclude my paragraph. Similar for body paragraph 2, I introduced in the topic sentence that I'm going to present the differences. Then in the supporting details, I say first difference is this and this, because blah, 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 and I give an example. Second difference is this and this. I explain it and I give an example, and then I conclude my paragraph. And between my sentences and my paragraphs, I should have transitional signals. If you remember, the words that link and connect my sentences and ideas together, okay? And they show me the transition, that now I'm moving from one idea to another. I'm transiting, I'm moving, okay? For example, when I say in addition, means I'm adding to the previous ideas. In addition is a very good transitional signal, which can be used instead of and. So most students keep writing and. But remember, and is a coordinating conjunction, which should be written in a compound sentence followed by a comma when I have 2 really related ideas, which I should write in one sentence. But sometimes no, I cannot write everything in one sentence and keep putting and. That's why I can use in addition, which means I'm adding new ideas similar to the previous ones. Or I can write similar for showing similarities between 2 things. I can write contrast to show differences. I can write on the other hand, which means I'm not on the other side, you know, or however. This shows differences, okay? Then after writing all the details, showing all the comparison and the contrasting details, I write my conclusion, which is the last paragraph of my essay. I restate the thesis statement, which had the main idea, but in different words. Then I add relevant thoughts if I want to share my thoughts, my feelings, for the reader, my comments, and then I would be done. Okay, so here is an example. First, we're going to start with the introduction. I said introduction should have a hook, background information, and a thesis statement. Now, on the slide, I'm going to start with a new example, which is comparing and contrasting between online learning and face-to-face learning. So online learning, when every student is at his or her home, and the teacher is at her home or his home, and they are meeting virtually behind the screens. However, face-to-face means all the students and the teacher are in one class, face-to-face, having physical interaction, okay? So we're going to compare and contrast between online learning and face-to-face learning. We said introduction should have a hook, background information, and a thesis statement. The hook, the first sentence of the introduction, it's an attention grabber, so it should be catchy. And it can be an interesting statement or fact, question, short story, statistics, or a proverb. For example, do you prefer online or face-to-face learning? That's a question, that's my hook. Then I should write some background or general information to introduce my topic. I can say, there are two forms of learning, online and face-to-face. Online learning takes place virtually behind the screens, while in face-to-face learning, everyone is present physically at the same place. Now I'm introducing the two topics in general, and I'm slightly showing that there's a difference between them. One of them is taking place virtually, however, the other is taking place face-to-face physically, and we're all at the same place. So clearly the reader would understand what I'm comparing and contrasting, and I'm introducing my topic generally. Then I narrow it down from the general to the specific, and I write my thesis statement. What's the specific idea I'm going to write about? There are both similarities and differences between online and face-to-face learning. This tells the reader that I'm going to present the similarities and the differences between online and face-to-face learning. And by now, I would be done with my introduction by adding all these parts, the ones in red. I would be done with my introduction. Now I move to the body. I already told you we want two body paragraphs. So let's start with body paragraph 1. It should present the similarities. You can write two similarities between online and face-to-face learning. The paragraph must have a topic sentence that introduces the topic. So I can say in the topic sentence, there are various similarities between online and face-to-face learning. Two of them are, and I list the two similarities. That's the topic sentence. In the same paragraph, I should write the supporting details. These two similarities, I explain them here in details. Okay, so after the first sentence of this body paragraph, the second sentence should explain those similarities in details and provide examples, as I told you before in the example before. And last sentence in this body paragraph is the concluding sentence. So it should remind the reader of the main idea of this paragraph. For example, I can say, this and this are common between both forms of learning, online and face-to-face learning. Same thing for body paragraph 2. I present differences, let's say 2 differences between online and face-to-face learning. The paragraph should have, again, topic sentence, supporting details, and a concluding sentence. Topic sentence introduces the topic, so I can say, on the other hand, you see the transition, on the other hand. So I already presented these similarities. Now I want to present the differences. So on the other hand, there are differences between online and face-to-face learning. 2 of them are this and this. Supporting details, I write details about those 2 differences. How are they different and why are they different? So I explain them and I give examples. Then I remind the reader in my concluding sentence what this paragraph was about. By now, I'm done with the body. Paragraph 1 and 2, in which I showed similarities and differences and all the details. So I write my conclusion, again, which restates the main idea and can share my final thoughts or feelings. We do not forget to use transitional signals, which are the words that show the transition from one point to another and from one paragraph to another. So they connect the ideas and make the essay coherent. Here are some transitional signals which we can use for compare and contrast. I can say similarly to show similarities. I can say likewise, it also shows similarity. I can say as well as this, so both show similarity. Compared to, this shows contrast, the difference. In the same way, similarity, having common, similarity, all are the same as, these are similarity, contrasting, or on the contrary, or as opposed to, or conversely, whether or not, in spite of, rather than, nevertheless, these all show contrast, even though, although, on the other hand, these show contrast, okay? Here are some more. I can say same to show comparison, which means similarity, same, similar, similarly, in the same way, the same as, both, like, in common, as well, also. So these are simpler words. Now to show contrast, and I can say differ, different, difference, however, but, like, no, like, it doesn't fit here, although, even though, on the other hand, and why. Okay, now I put these two pictures, which are helpful to build your sentences using the transitional signals. You can say both this and this have many things in common. One similarity is blah, blah, blah. Another one is blah, blah, blah. They also share this and this. In addition, this and this. Furthermore, blah, blah, blah. So here, they're showing you how you use the transitional signals to introduce the similarities, also, alike, additionally, etc. Now, you do not write only these. Your paragraph shouldn't have all transitional signals. You choose the suitable ones you need, and you add all the details. Look at the differences paragraph. You write, however, the two, blah, 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 are also very different. One difference is this, another difference is this, unlike this, etc. Okay? When I'm concluding, I can say in conclusion, or to summarize, or as you can see, or now you know, and I write my conclusion. Okay? Same thing here. You can start the similarities paragraph by saying this and this are the same because they both are birds, for example. In addition, here I'm adding details. They are different because this, but this does not. Also, blah, 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 whereas, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so all these are transitional signals, and you can just use them in the appropriate position in the sentence and form correct sentences with your details. Here's another sample, a sample for an essay. You have the introduction. Okay, they're comparing between two teachers. Then they started with the body here. They're showing me one way they are different. The teachers are different is their age. This teacher is younger than the other teacher. One teacher has a different eye color or hair color. The other teacher has a brown eyes. Okay. This teacher liked to wear different shoes, but the other wears whatever, dogs and toms, whatever. Then my teacher have similarities. Then both they teach language arts at FMS. Another similarity is that this teacher went to this university and the other teacher also went to this university. Both of them are pretty. So here they're sharing differences, here they're sharing similarities. And then we should have the conclusion in which we conclude that these are both teachers, but they still have differences. Okay, By now, our lecture comes to an end. I hope that everything was clear. Now, after understanding everything related to how to write an expository essay with an introduction, two body paragraphs, and a conclusion, okay, with all the sentences in every paragraph, with the compare contrast organization, you have a homework. Now you can choose the prompt you want. You can compare and contrast between online and face-to-face learning, okay? And you can compare and contrast between two people, like two friends, two teachers, etc. Okay, you can choose the topic you want. The due date is Wednesday, May 11. Choose only one prompt, not two of them. Okay, and if you have any questions, please make sure to let me know. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.